All right, let there be sound.
Yes.
Round 2. Raider Nation, what is going on? Coming to you guys live from SAHARA Las Vegas the night before the Dolphins game, Week 3 matchup. Deja vu. I feel like we just talked about this.
We just did this. We'll do it again.
Okay, how does it go? Oh, yeah, we're 2-0, looking to go 3-0.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right? That's the energy right there. I like that.
Can we just start off with one thing, though?
Yeah, what's that?
Welcome, Raider Nation. Raiders!
Come on!
Let's go!
Yeah, I see some Derek Carr jerseys. I see some Max Crosby jerseys. Let's go. Shout out to the chat. I want you guys to drop in there. Now that you can hear me over the internet,
yes.
I want you guys to drop where you're listening from, whether that's an area code, a city, a state, a country, anywhere. I know Raider Nation is global, and I want to know where you guys are listening from because we don't all have the luxury of being in Las Vegas.
Oh, my gosh.
But, hey, yeah, at least you get to experience a little bit of it with us.
Absolutely.
So, actually, I haven't formally introduced my special guest co-host here. So
I'll just jump in, though.
If you guys listen to the show or watch the show all the time, I'm sure you've heard Murf on here, and you should be subscribed to Raiders Fan Radio as well.
Thanks.
And welcome in, man. I'm glad you could join the pregame show, and hopefully we'll see you a little bit during the postgame.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brother Cody. Appreciate being here. Appreciate Casbar, SAHARA Las Vegas. This is awesome, man. Love to see Raiders fans. Love to be in Vegas. I've only been here for 2 days, and I'm already tired, but I'm pumped up on adrenaline and gin, so I don't care. I'm ready for the game tomorrow. I'm so excited. Cannot wait to watch our Raiders kick the crap out of the Dolphins and go 3-0. Let's go.
Let's go. It's not the city that sleeps. We take naps here.
We just take naps. Yeah,
like
a 3-hour nap. Yeah.
Yeah.
I slept more on the plane than I did here. You know
man. Yeah. Oh, see, I couldn't. Oh, I can't sleep on the plane.
I can nap on a plane.
Yeah, they get me. They get me. Anyways, so going into this game, I was feeling pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Feeling like we're not getting a matchup like the Steelers or the Ravens where we're facing all these intangibles. Oh, man, the Steelers are so-and-so. Haven't lost, or we haven't beat the Steelers at home last 4 out of 5 times. We're getting our butts kicked in Pittsburgh. Or then when Ravens, what were they? Some astronomical number of undefeated during the season opener.
Yeah. Well, and especially too, like, sorry, I'm going to jump in there.
You're good.
Like, in the fourth quarter, like, I think Harbaugh is like freaking like, was like 18-0 or something like that.
Yeah, when they're by 2 scores or something.
Yeah, going to the fourth. So, like, yeah, I'm with you, man. Like, things were stacked up against us for so long.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
We can't take this team lightly. I don't care if they're the Miami Dolphins. I don't care how bad, if they're the second worst team allowing pressures in the NFL. I don't care. There's been trap games. Everyone's going to bring up trap game. You can't fall into a trap game. I hope that finally this isn't the team that, not necessarily that they don't fall into a trap game, because they should be able to take it semi-lightly, and they should be able to coast through this with ease, without stress, without 7 heart attacks per game on average.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we got the highest heart attack per game average in the NFL.
No doubt.
For the last 20 years.
Absolutely, especially after that first game, we had to win it 6 times.
So we should be able to go without that, I think. But in the same breath, we shouldn't fall into a point where we're digging ourselves out of a hole, or it's a nail biter, or John Gruden's taking his foot off the gas, or all of a sudden, the run game's not working, but we're going to try and eat clock as much as possible just because that's what we're going to do because we're playing the Dolphins. I think we just need to put our foot on their throat early in the game, go up a couple scores, and then just coast through the rest.
Absolutely.
Let Raider Nation enjoy themselves in Vegas.
Dude, it's time to whip someone's ass.
Give us a little energy. You know what I mean? We want to get out of the stadium at 4:30 with a little energy left. Yes. You know what I mean? We don't want to just leave it all in Allegiant Stadium. We got to have a little left.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree with you more. Look, the Raiders have clearly put their stamp already early in the season, but we've done that before.
Yeah.
Like, we've done that in recent history before. So now it's time for us to freaking really put our stamp on it by going 3-0, dominate the Dolphins.
Dominate.
Al Davis didn't ever want to beat teams. He wanted to ruin your life. That's what we need to do against the freaking Miami Dolphins.
Ruin lives.
Absolutely. We want to change people's legacies and careers because they got their ass kicked by the Raiders. That's what we need to do in Week 3.
Let's go, man. How do I get you in the locker room before the game?
Dude, oh gosh, I love this damn team.
Can I do that? Can we talk to John? We need a pregame speech here by Murf.
I'll be willing to do it. Hologram and everything.
We had some news come out today.
Yes.
Let's see here real quick. Yeah, let's get chat to drop in there.
Love it, man. Love it.
Yeah, make sure if you guys drop in your super chats, I'll make sure to feature that comment up there on the screen and we'll talk about it. But we had some news come out. Richie Incognito going on injured reserve. So that's a minimum of 3 games.
Yes.
And that's kind of what I expected already after what he went through last year.
Right.
Obviously, I think everything that he's going through is kind of all connected to the same muscle, and for whatever reason, he just cannot seem to stay healthy in that portion of his body.
He's 38.
So is that old?
I'm 48. Yeah, that's young still to me. But you know what I mean? Like, you get older and look, things start to break down. It's why players have to retire and if your name's not Tom Brady.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or Vinny Testaverde, or like there's only handfuls of players that really can play effectively into the latter part of their 30s and 40s. And like, you know what I mean? It just happens, man. It happens to us all. And so, and also too, when you're talking about guys like Richie Incognito, he's such a massive human being. Like all that connective tissue and muscles and all that stuff. They're huge. There's so much stress and anxiety on the body. Like at a certain point, man, you just start to freaking break down a little bit. And it's unfortunate because he could still play effectively when healthy. So, I mean, we're going to root for the big man to make his way back, man, because and not only because I think that he's just obviously effective on the field, but he's one of those de facto leaders. All the comments that we heard from him in the offseason and all that, like, you could really tell that he stepped up in leadership and really kind of filling in the vacancy, or I hate to call it a void, that Rodney Hudson left. But we knew that, like, look, we know Derek's the leader of the offense and really the leader of the Raiders on the field. But Rodney Hudson was also a big part of that as well, right? And we wondered what was going to happen with Hudson's departure. And I think Incognito has filled that role. I think that he's, I don't want to say replaced, because I don't think anybody can equate to what Rodney Hudson was able to do. But I think he definitely hits that a little bit.
Yeah. Shout out to Swag Jeff.
Oh, look at that. Thanks, Swag Jeff.
Let's switch over here.
Social media director and producer there at Raiders Fan Radio. Thank you, Swag Jeff. Appreciate that.
I'd like to see Richie, kind of like I had the same notion with Josh Jacobs. Let him sit out a little bit. Let him get healthy. Let him get some rest. We obviously can somewhat manage the load without him. So if you give Josh he's had his one game off. Give him another game off. Heck, if he can play Monday night next week, that's great for him and for his timeline. For Richie, I would be more targeted to get him back in the second half of the season.
Yes.
3 games, that's a minimum. He goes on IR, 3 games, he can come back. I don't think he comes back after 3 games. I think it stretches on more than that, especially if he had all of last year to try and rehab from whatever injury it was, and he's still coming out into this season and got hurt before real camp even started. Give him as much time as he possibly needs, because we can plug and play him in week 14 for all I care.
Right. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? He's going to be better than whatever we have filling in his position. So.
But we're not doing bad now, and that's the thing is that, like, look, I don't buy into PFF grades. I think they're crap because everything is within context.
Yeah.
And, look, the Raiders have been successful offensively. We're putting up points. We're winning football games. So all the different PFF grades that we've had assigned to our linemen that, from, I think the highest rated is Colton Miller with like a 70, and then only works its way down from there. But who cares?
Yeah.
Like, they're doing well. Coach Cable is your coach of the year right now for the Raiders. Like, he's doing an incredible job. Plug and play, like you mentioned. And so, like, when you're missing a Pro Bowl player like Josh Jacobs, like, there's a direct impact to the offense, because we see that, whatever capabilities of what Kenyon Drake, and now I guess Regis has now been activated, so we'll see what they're capable of. But they're not Josh Jacobs.
No.
Where we can still be as effective as a line without Richie being there. So I'm totally with you. Like, save him for the playoffs, like a kind of a thing. Or like, you hear in the NBA, you hear talk of load management, and even in baseball and pitch counts and all that. Like, for an older player, we don't, like, save him. Save him for when we really need him, when we freaking, we're in the postseason, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Shout out to John Vizcarra in the chat, VP of the Black Hole Chapter. A couple shots of Woodson Whiskey.
Nice.
Appreciate the donation. Absolutely. Woodson Whiskey, of course, is inside a Casbar here at SAHARA Las Vegas, as well as Black Sunday. Get your Black Sunday merch just right outside.
Yes.
Obviously, Murf is rocking his as well, but we're all about the support here, and we appreciate kind of this little trio that we have going on at SAHARA. We have special thanks to the big crowd that's here checking out the show.
Appreciate you, Raider fans.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. And if you guys ever want to get in on this, of course, we're doing room specials. You go to SAHARA Las Vegas. There's a link on my website, raidercody.com/SAHARA. You get 20% off your room. You get $50 in resort credit. You get like a 72-hour cancellation. You get free parking.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you get to come here, hang out the night before with us every home game weekend, watch the show, chill inside a Casbar. There's a big sports bar opening up soon, so we'll be there. Hopefully, maybe next time. We'll keep that one under wraps until it's official. And of course, all day game day here, hanging out, drink specials. Black Sunday out here. Again, they're giving away gear.
It's so cool, man. This place is amazing too, by the way. Like, this casino and the bar, like, everything, like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it's so Vegas.
It's a really nice place.
It's really freaking cool, man. Yeah, definitely check it out.
Yeah, it's a really nice place. So, shout out to you guys in the chat. Moving forward, so we're talking about offensive line.
Yes.
I still have although Tom Cable is, I think, doing a great job in putting pieces together, as he always has, you know what I mean? How often do we have, we're going into the season, we're looking at, okay, here's our car insurance. Every year, here's our car insurance. We got our 5 guys. How often are those 5 guys in there for more than like 2 or 3 games a season? It never works. So he's always been able to put the pieces together. Right now, what I want to see is the pre-snap penalties. That's got to stop. You know, I mean, I get it with Leatherwood. He's a rookie.
Yeah,
you know, you're facing some heat. You know, you give up a sack, and all of a sudden you're getting jumpy, and you're jumping, false starts. That's where he's got to be a little bit more disciplined. That's where Andre James, hopefully Andre James and Derek have been working a little bit more lately too, just on taking the snap. Obviously missing, Rodney Hudson. I'm going to admit that. We're missing Rodney Hudson a little bit. But I'm looking forward to seeing how Andre James can develop and work with Derek, because all that is about chemistry. I think he can do the job of being an interior lineman and blocking as an interior lineman as soon as he can get rid of all the thinking processes of getting a clean snap off. I mean, how many fumbled snaps are we going to get before he finally is like, I can't even focus on what I'm supposed to do. I just want to make sure I don't fumble the ball to Derek getting it off the snap. So for me, pre-snap. Whenever that ball's getting out, that's all that matters for this offensive line, and everything else is going to be just good enough to win. And shout out to Simon SC. The fins are getting turned into tuna.
Nice.
I like it. I don't like tuna.
You don't like tuna?
I don't like tuna.
I'm a sushi guy. I like tuna.
That's okay.
I don't like canned tuna.
I don't like the Dolphins either, so it goes hand in hand.
There you go. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand.
Absolutely. But so speaking on that point, though, like, I lost my words there. What was I going to say? You go. I forgot what I was going to say.
Okay, me go.
What a great podcast.
Can I just say Kenyon Drake revenge game?
Oh, let's go. Like it.
Huh?
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to get a lot of snaps out there. Derek's obviously going to be throwing for his life at this point, right? So, and on that hand, he's facing, in my opinion, Derek's facing probably his toughest task through 3 games. This Dolphins secondary.
Yes, I agree.
Xavier Howard, Jason McCourty, Byron Jones.
Yes.
I don't care how, crappy of a team that you guys think that the Dolphins are, or even if they're a bottom 10 team, they're still close to a top 10 secondary. They're going to be a really good secondary. And if there's going to be one portion of the team that keeps that game close every single week for the Dolphins, it's going to be the secondary. So that's where I want to see Kenyon Drake get in there, mix it up a little bit. He needs to step up. We got to get the run game going.
Absolutely.
I mean, and not necessarily he's going to be the bell cow guy, but he's got to make something happen.
Well, we didn't get the ball moving, running the football until late in the game last week, right? We didn't get it going. And so, and it reminded me what I was going to say is that, about the offensive line, oh shit, I lost it again. What the hell?
It's good, man. It's good, man. As long as we don't lose anything tomorrow, we're solid.
I can't believe I just did that twice.
And it's okay.
I had a brain fart.
It's okay. You're on a good roll, though.
Oh, my gosh.
You had me fired up.
I had a really good point, too.
You know why? Because you're probably imagining yourself inside the Raiders locker room and you can't even focus on the show.
Well, I don't have any notes, and so I'm trying to, think advance, and it's,
I'm bad with notes, too. Here, you can read my 4 words that I got to talk about every 20 minutes. I'm pretty bad. Oh, Max Crosby, Yannick Ngakoue. This is something that's obviously been talked about all week long.
Oh, I just remembered.
Okay, go.
You mentioned pre-snap penalties.
Yes.
And when you talk to coaches and you hear from coaches, one of the things that they say is that one of the things you want to eliminate first and foremost is pre-snap and post-snap penalties, because that's the mental side of the game, right? And I think that when you mention Leatherwood or even Andre James, any of the mistakes, they're just mentals. And those are overcomeable. The talent is there, the execution is there. It's purely just getting in there, getting the time in, right? You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what helped our defense.
Mental. Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you get rid of all that. Am I doing this right? Is this where I'm supposed to be? What is going on here? To now you're just kind of getting placed in a pretty simple position in a very simple defense. But if you have the right group of talent, that's why it worked for the Legion of Boom. The Legion of Boom was able to get in there and make plays because you have Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman. You know what I mean? You have guys that are athletes.
Brandon Browner.
They're ball players. You know what I mean? You give them a chance, an opportunity to be in a close enough place to make it like Casey Hayward. Casey Hayward's lost a step.
Awesome.
He's lost a step.
Awesome, though,
but he is still in this defense in a good enough position to make plays just because of what Gus Bradley's doing.
Well, and players that are that great, like, yeah, they may have lost a step, but they were already 2 steps better than the other guy.
Yeah.
So you can afford to lose a step and still be effective, right? And I'm with you, too. And one thing is so impressive, and you brought up Max Crosby, it's so impressive to me, like, how the Raiders are getting pressure. They're generating a lot of havoc back there for opposing quarterbacks, but they're not blitzing. It's not like we're sending, like, 6-7 guys at a time. You're talking about your front 4, and how freaking unheralded, so far to me, like, is awesome as Max Crosby has been. And we'd love to talk about Yannick Ngakoue. But, like, Quentin Jefferson and Solomon Thomas, especially Quentin Jefferson, like, I'm surprised we're not talking more and more about Quentin Jefferson. That guy's been a beast for us.
Yeah, him
defense,
and Thomas
man.
Is great.
So freaking amazing. And, like, how cool is that? Like, to me, like, you know, and again, I'm old enough to remember old school Raider football is Al Davis. The Raiders didn't blitz back then. They weren't like, you know, Villapiano and those guys weren't going in and blitzing. They were getting pressure with their front 4. It was Matuzak and Sistrunk and those guys. That's where the pressure came from. That's where the sacks came from. That's where the impact. And that's like, so I feel like the Raiders have, like, look, I'm not going to get all crazy with it, but don't you feel like this is a little bit, the Raiders of this incarnation are a little bit of a hearken to the Raiders of the past?
Yeah.
They're kind of silly. They're kind of fun. You know what I mean? Like, but they're the cohesion.
They have character.
The character. Like, it's awesome, man. It's so fun to be a Raider fan. Like, I feel like all the things that, like, formed our Raider fandom, like, this team of recent history, like, epitomizes that more so than maybe any of the other teams since, you know, John Gruden was there last time. Yeah. Like, it really feels like a very Raider team. Yeah. It's awesome. I love this thing, too.
Yeah, because that's what we're getting back to. And finally, it's kind of like almost like a reset. You know, we've had our good Raiders in Oakland. You know, we've had that little era of a good team in Oakland. We've had our lots of good teams in L.A. You know what I mean? We had that good era in L.A. Yeah. Now are we already going to turn the page into Vegas and have this next chapter to be successful? 2 years into Vegas, be ready to go right now. I think we got the group. We got the core. And we have the energy. I mean, obviously, just like you talked about, even the Jonathan Abrams. I don't care. I mean, we can get on Jonathan Abrams.
Abram, man.
But for what he does, I mean, it's amazing what he brings to the table. Him getting stiff-armed the way he did, trying to strip the ball out, caught him on the back foot, you know what I mean, just trying to strip the ball out and getting stiff-armed.
And that was a bad look.
That was
a good look. I won't apologize for him on that.
But then him coming back behind the line and, like, blowing up Claypool, he's like, okay, that's not happening.
That's the thing. Like, I was watching that with my Uncle Mosh and one of my co-hosts on Raiders Fan Radio, and when that happened, the first thing that he said was, that's not going to be good for them. Because no one's, like, you're not going to punk Abram and then not have him do anything about it.
Yeah.
Right? You knew he was going to come right back. Yeah. And he did. And I think, and again, I mentioned that harken back to Raiders, you know, teams of the past. I don't think anybody really, well, there are others, but he epitomizes that individually very well also. Yeah. That, like, you can't, again, he's kind of silly. You know what I mean? He's got a lot of character to him, but he freaking brings it. You know what I mean? And when we drafted Trayvon Merrick, immediately, the first thing I thought of, and I was so glad to hear Coach Gruden reference this in his last press conference, immediately I think Atkinson and Tatum.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you go to.
And they allow them to do each other's jobs.
Yes, exactly. And that was the whole point of drafting Merrick, is that they complement each other. Yeah. What a concept. Complementary football. Go figure, Raiders.
Yeah.
Like, it's so awesome the way that this team is built. And those guys in the secondary are doing an amazing job. And the other thing, speaking of complementary football, like, isn't it awesome to, like, the way that, like, pass rush begats great coverage. Great coverage begats a pass rush. Like, things work together. Yeah. And when you're getting pressure up front from those guys naturally, without having to send a bunch of, sending a bunch of blitzers or whatever, you get all this amazing things that happen in the secondary. I don't know, Trayvon Mullen picking off the football right away. Like, you get all these things that just start to go. They start to stack and build on each other. And I definitely think we're going to do that this weekend. We're definitely going to do that to Miami. You know, you mentioned earlier about their ability to play defense and their ability to pressure. I think it's going to be probably, I don't know, Baltimore's pretty tough, but, like, it's definitely going to be a challenge for Derek. You know, TJ Watt going out early in the Pittsburgh game, I think relieved a lot of the pressure that they were getting in that game. And by the way, TJ Watt, take it easy. Is anybody, like, look at this guy play and watching the way he acts and thinks he's an idiot, or is it just me? I'm like, give it up, dude.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like, silly. He's like Mark Gastineau 2.0. But anyway, so I think that the amount of pressure that Miami's going to be able to put on Derek, It's gonna challenge him. It's gonna challenge, and I'm looking forward to watching him respond to that challenge and do well within it, because he's got all the weapons and tools in the world, right, to handle it. You know.
Well, it's to the point to where now he has a little something to prove, because he's always been the quarterback that was deemed he's good enough to win it all if he has a good enough supporting cast. Right now, we got the defense that's above average, in my opinion. They're borderline top 10 defense right now.
Yes.
I'd love to see how that continues through the rest of the season, but I definitely would say a top 10 defense at this point in the making. I'd love to see how that grows. Besides that, on offense, Darren Waller getting smothered all the time, the hiccups on the offensive line, Josh Jacobs being out, and two wide receivers that are still developing, have a high ceiling, but are still developing and finding their roles and finding when they're going to have the most chemistry with Derek. I think he's finally proving that, hey, I can put this team on my back consistently right now and win football games.
I agree.
And that's all. That's all we needed, because this football team has been designed for so long to survive on its everything, its whole. You know what I mean? The defense has to come together, or you're not going to win football games.
Right,
the offense has to completely be efficient, or you're not going to win football games. Derek can just win a game in 5 plays if you need to. Give him the ball for a minute and a half, and he's able to go up there and put points on the board.
Give us more zero coverage.
I'm telling you.
Keep doing that, defenses. Yeah, let's go ahead.
You didn't learn last year. Right?
You know what I mean? You know? I'm with you, dude. It's a wonderful opportunity this weekend. And look, and I loved when Derek in his comments last week, when he was mentioning about how he didn't compare the two teams, but he referenced the point that, the teams felt like what it did in 2016.
Yeah.
And we all know what 2016 was like. Yeah. And I don't think, look, I know it's early, and I'm not going to be a prisoner of the moment, but okay. Well, we were screaming freaking Super Bowl when we beat the Saints last year, right? Let's not do that again. But not to be a prisoner of the moment, but is this defense already is better than we were in 2016? Because look, as good as 2016 was, and as much as we were thankful for the playoff appearance and what the Raiders did and how well they played, let's not act like that defense still wasn't suspect.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It was. They just came up clutch. And I still feel like, even though this defense has those same characteristics, when it comes down to closing out a game, they can get in there and close out a game.
They can close out a game, and that's what that was, one of the things that I've mentioned a lot on our show about, the Raiders haven't had a closer. Khalil Mack was our closer. He was that guy that was going to pick off Cam Newton and run it into the end zone to seal the game. He was going to be the guy to get that big sack on third down. Well, now we're seeing other players. Obviously, we saw Nassib do it. We're seeing, Max Crosby do it. Yeah. We're starting to see other players step up and be that closer. And that's what the Raiders have desperately missed since Khalil Mack departed. And thankfully now, we got other people that are stepping up and getting the job done, man. It's very refreshing. It's very fun. And I think they're better defensively than 2016. Again, 2 games in, we'll see. It's a long, long way to go. But the other thing about that defense too, Cody, is that, we've talked about in this offseason together about how the Raiders only need to elevate their defense to a middle-of-the-road defense. Yeah. We've got a top 10 offense, and our defense has been at the bottom of the barrel. Yeah. If we can lift that defense to be mid-grade, halfway up, give us a top 15, a top 20 defense, we're going to win a lot more football games, and I feel like we're there. Yeah. Yes, it's 2 games, but damn, they look good.
Yeah.
You know
so
what I mean?
Early on,
fun to watch.
With a new scheme and a lot of new players, they do look really good.
Absolutely.
Having guys like Perryman jumping in there and playing really well. Yes. KJ Wright, having a couple little hiccups here and there, but playing really well overall. Having Solomon Thomas, you were talking about him earlier with Quentin Jefferson. Not talked about enough. Solomon Thomas, it's funny, the Raiders have always been the team where they leave for a better change of scenery, but here we are, Solomon Thomas coming to the Raiders, and it's a good change of scenery for him.
Yes.
So I think a lot of these guys are seeing that, even like a Casey Hayward. You know what I mean? He's coming in here. And I think Abel, he's always been extremely underrated. And of course, he's kind of been riddled with injuries throughout his career, but he can come in and make a name for himself in Las Vegas. Absolutely. He's got a fan base behind him that will actually support him. You know what I mean? Yeah. We have a lot more than 11 fans. So, we can push those Pro Bowl votes. You know what I mean? We can push those things to get Casey Hayward out there on the map.
Absolutely. And I dig your comment, too, about the linebackers, about the way that they're playing. And we don't even have Kwiatkowski yet. I like to say it like this. Kwiatkowski. Quit. But we don't even have Kwiatkowski back yet. So, dude, I'm with you. There's nothing to not – look, if you're a Raider fan and you're not excited about what the team's doing, then check your pulse, man. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, then what are you rooting for? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what else? Look, last year, Derek started answering questions. He started checking boxes. He's already done it again this year. We're winning on the East Coast, where he's putting up the big numbers. He's the top-rated passer, or at least in terms of yardage, in all of the NFL. He's already answering questions. We're dealing with just as many, if not more, injuries than the rest of the NFL. The defense has stepped up. Max Crosby now, this new version of Max Crosby, is killing. I almost cursed, like a bad word.
Like a
big one. Yeah, sorry. But he's killing it, man. So what? The secondary is playing strong. Like, there's what do you have to be critical of? And I just love where this team is going. I love the direction, love the energy behind it. And yeah, man, let's get behind them, Raider Nation. I can't wait to jump in there tomorrow with 60,000 of our best friends, man, and root this team on to victory. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, Juan, I see in the chat, you're in Sahara. Where are you at? We are in Casbar. So if you go to the casino floor, right off the casino floor, there's a big bar called Casbar, luxury lounge. Come up in here. We're kind of tucked behind some curtains, a bunch of TVs set up in here. You'll see us. You'll see some signage, and you'll see some lights, and you'll see my ugly mug next to.
See a couple faces made for radio.
Made for radio. Who put a camera on these faces? Goodness gracious! I want you guys to drop in the chat. Drop some comments. I want you to ask about anything. Opinions on players, opinions on coaches, opinions on the first couple games, opinions on tomorrow's game, opinions on Monday Night Football next week. I don't care. We can look ahead. I mean, 1 week at a time, but let's hear about it. So. When the Raiders make the playoffs, Pat McCaffrey needs to apologize for all the Raiders slander.
And he's a knucklehead. He's funny. He's amusing. I like him better on WWE than I like on his show.
He's not funny. Corky Williams. I appreciate that comment in the donation.
If you know, you know, right, Cody?
Yeah, if you know, you know. Shout out to Pat. Yeah, make sure you guys drop in the comments any questions that you guys have for us before we close this thing out here in just a little bit. Murf's used to going like 2.5 hours on his live show.
I know, we went 3 hours our last episode.
Are you serious?
Yeah, man, because
that's a marathon.
And then people accuse us that we don't talk enough about the Raiders. I'm like, do you not pay attention?
It's because you're never mind.
What? Go ahead, you can say it.
Corny super fan?
Oh, I am a corny super fan. So according to some of the comments in our YouTube, because that's where you go to find all the wisdom that you want on the internet. Apparently, that on our show we're corny super fans, and you know what?
I think you're the GOAT.
Oh, thanks, Johnny Storm Beats. Appreciate that, man. Very kind. Thank you. Oh, I'm gonna put that on a shirt, Johnny, instead of corny super fan. How about
Are you guys still upset about Fitzpatrick? Like with the Dolphins game?
Oh, what, last year?
The Dolphins game that we don't talk about anymore?
Well, the guy that twisted his head off is no longer on the team.
Yeah, with Arden Key. Arden almost sacked Key.
Yeah, now that guy's making almost plays for almost another football team. So
yes, we're still upset about Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, can't you tell?
Let's see here. Okay. Let's do some score predictions.
Okay.
Score predictions. 72-6. No.
Wow, you stole mine.
I'm actually going to say, I'm going to think it's a pretty low-scoring game. I'm going to go with 21-13.
Okay. All right.
We're putting up 3 easy touchdowns. We're coasting along the rest of the game, and all they're able to do is kick field goals.
Okay. All right. I think the game's going to be close. So we're here in Las Vegas, and Las Vegas was built on a bunch of smart people that take advantage of all of us that go and gamble, right? That's why they have all the pretty lights. And all those very, very smart Vegas people had the Raiders as a 4-point favorite. And then as the Raiders got betted up, the point spread went down. They went down to 3.5. So all the smart people that are employed by all these wonderful casinos have this as a very close game. And they've only got the Raiders by 3.5. And when you got all that money going in on one team and the line goes down, that's typically a red flag. That doesn't matter to me. I think the Raiders are going to win by 50. But that's my fan heart.
Yeah.
My brain tells me that it's going to be like a 35-28 kind of game.
Ooh.
Like it's going to be like a little bit of a shootout because
that's a one-score game right there.
Yeah, and but here's why. Here's why I think that like this is the game that like. If we think back to like the Atlanta game, right, that all let us down last year, like the Raiders team they were trending on pace to really like start to lock down the season, whatever. And then it's like all of a sudden we get blown out by the Falcons, and it's like, how the heck did that happen, right? So I think that if you go back to last year's team, this will be one of those games where, again, I don't care for the term trap game per se, but I think some folks brought up in the chat. I think the idea that, this is a team we should beat, and that for us to go in there and to not dominate them, I think that was something that last year we wouldn't have done. But this year is different. This is a different version of the Raiders. So I think we're going to go in and we're going to put up a bunch of points, and we may give up points, but we're going to be able to close out the football game. So I think it's going to be close, but I believe and I trust, again, all those odds makers that are calling this like a 4-point game. So as good as I think the Raiders are going to be.
Right? We got 3.5.
It's 3.5 right now. So as good as I think the Raiders are going to be, I don't think they're going to go in there and slam dunk them. Although, again, my fan heart says this is going to be a blowout.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like the problem is, just like with John any other time, he's not a guy that's just going to put his foot on their neck for 4 quarters. We're not going to go in there, and I don't ever see him designing an offense around just still letting it air out. You know what I mean? So
he's going to get the lead and grind the clock.
He's going to get the lead and grind the clock, and it's going to be very boring. And I feel like we're never going to – hopefully one day we get one of those big blowout games. And luckily now we have the defense to where if we do all of a sudden, oh, man, we're up by over 2 – we got a 2-score game. We have the defense to hold them back.
Absolutely. See, that's what I totally agree with that, and that's again the difference between no one's going to come back on us the way that teams did to us last year. I mean, look, it may happen. I'm not going to sit here and be a total freaking corny super fan and tell you it's never going to happen. But realistically, our defense is effective enough to not let those things happen, to not let those crazy, wild fourth quarters get out of control and twisting Fitzpatrick's head off and throwing blind passes downfield and all that crap that we saw. I don't think this is the kind of defense that's going to allow those kind of things to happen.
So speaking of defense, Mike says, how many takeaways does the defense get tomorrow? I'm going to just I'm going to ride with...
Which one?
I'm going to say 2, the Raiders defense. I'm going to say... I'm going to throw a bold prediction with because I'm not going to put a number on it, but I'm going to say that we get like a wild card, like a Nate Hobbs or a Jonathan Abram strip sack.
Dude, let's go. Yes.
I mean, because Jacoby Brissett likes to sit back there and plant his feet and grow roots in the pocket while it's collapsing. I think, we get 1 or 2 opportunities to send a defensive back blitz, send him around that corner, just let him hit him from the blind side.
We saw it in the preseason.
Yeah.
It's not like they don't have
both
design blitzes. Yeah, so it's not like we don't do that, or at least don't have that in the playbook, and that the Raiders have practiced it. Now, whether they do it or not, that remains to be seen. But I'm with you though, and that would be awesome, man. And also too, look. And I joked by saying which one when you mentioned takeaways on defense, but the Dolphins are good at that too. And I think that's also something that is going to be, again, a challenge for Derek. If there's ever been a criticism lobbied at him, one of them is that he's, he fumbles. You know what I mean? And I don't even want to say it like that because it's just, it's happened to him. It happens to all quarterbacks. It's not like he's particularly prone to it in a disproportionate way, but we've seen it. We've seen it enough to where it causes some fans to be critical of it. So I think that when you have this kind of an attacking defense, they're going to get that kind of pressure on him to create those things, and it will be up to him and the rest of the offense to prevent that from happening. And then again, though, the difference, and to go to your point, we now have a defense that can do the same thing. At least, again, 2 games in, but it feels like we have the kind of defense that can create those takeaways. And my cousin Sonny, who I started Raiders Fan Radio with way back in the day, he's always said, that's his biggest thing. When he looks at the effectiveness of a football team, it's what's your ratio between takeaways and giveaways. And if you always have the number in the left column bigger than the number in the right, typically that leads to a successful football team.
Yeah, absolutely. Question here, Vinny Thomas. How do you feel about Renfrow and Ruggs still returning punts and kicks? I love Renfrow returning punts. I talked about it on a podcast I dropped earlier this week. I was talking with Eddie. It felt really good to be comfortable with somebody back there. Every time.
You don't want Jalen Richard back there?
Yeah, every time we're returning. Oh gosh, every time we're returning a punt, man, it's like you're worried about them muffing it or and not saying that he's not perfect.
I'm with you.
You know what I mean? But there's a sense of comfort there, and that obviously shows that he's good enough to carry that load and have that job. And I mean, hopefully, and Eddie made the point of just hopefully he doesn't get just pummeled on it. You know what I mean? A punt return job is pretty dangerous. On the Ruggs side of things, I know Ruggs is fast, but I don't necessarily like him a whole lot as a kick returner. When he has that breakaway speed, he has that sprinter speed. When you get him in a straight line, he's going to pull away with his long strides. When it comes to being a kick returner, and not even just that, just me wanting him to be healthy all season long, I don't necessarily want him returning kicks all the time. I feel like we can get a smaller, shiftier dude or not smaller necessarily, but a small guy like him, shifty, to return those kicks. But I don't know. I mean, Kenyon Drake was on the roster at one point for stuff like that. I mean, heck, even Hunter Renfrow put him back there for kick returns. Why not? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, and on the
Willie
punts,
Snead?
I mean,
Willie Snead do stuff
there
like
you
that?
go. Yeah, that's where I more lean into that, and especially too like on punts, like your point. Like, I mean, heck, Tim Brown did that. Like, Hall of Famer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not unheard of to have one of your top wide receivers returning punts, right? But I'm with you on kickoffs, and I think that the Raiders are looking for some energy there, and the most explosive player that they have is Ruggs. And while I hear you on like the shiftiness and all that stuff, I agree with you as far as the explosive potential, the potential for those game-changing plays. I don't think that it comes from anybody else besides Ruggs, or it gives you more potential for that anyways. And that's an area of our team that, like, again, we look back at the recent, even going back to like, I don't know, Johnny Lee Higgins and Jacoby Ford. Like, you got to really, dip into the Wayback Machine to start finding players that were really good at special teams in terms of returns on kicks and on punts. So I kind of like what they're doing behind it. But I hear you loud and clear, and it's a valid point that if he's your wide receiver number one, are you willing to put him back there and let him risk getting blown up by somebody? And that's certainly a fair point. But I think that the potential for that, it doesn't come from a better spot than from Henry Ruggs III Jr.
Yeah. Shout out to neighbor Dave in the chat. Hi, Cody. Go football. So neighbor Dave is my actual neighbor.
What up, Dave?
Yeah, he's my actual neighbor. Switch back over there. Yeah, neighbor Dave.
Dave's not here, man.
His real name's David. He actually hates that I call him Dave.
He does?
Yeah, it just stuck in my head. And whenever I get people's names stuck in my head, it doesn't change. We have a new kid at work. His name's Josiah.
Okay.
But I've been calling him Isaiah ever since he started working there, and it's just
going to be Isaiah.
I'm pretty sure I've even convinced other employees that his name's Isaiah.
I would.
Yeah.
I'd change it. I'd go to HR and be like, here, bro, here's your new name.
Oh, man, let's see. Renfrow would be a good returner. Third and Renfrow. Lots of Renfrow talking here. Hunter avoids big hits with his agility. And I agree with that. He's very slippery.
Dude, did you see? Shout out Ted Wynn. No free shout outs, but Ted Wynn on Twitter. He's such a great studier of film, and broke down Renfrow's route against. I believe it was in the Ravens game. The dude ran like 4 routes.
Really?
He ran and I can't look. I'm not a film guy. I'm just a corny super fan. But it was absolutely incredible when you go on there and follow Ted Wynn. If you're into that kind of stuff, you want to nerd out about football, go check that stuff out. It's the amount of precision that Hunter Renfrow has to his route running is absolutely incredible, dude. Like it's unmatched to anybody we've seen in a Raider uniform, probably again since Timmy Brown. Like it's
like him or like even like Jerry Rice. It's kind of like you get into, and he's a young guy. But his ability, his Madden ratings are like an old veteran receiver. You know what I mean? He's like that Jerry Rice. He's like that. He's like an aging Kobe Bryant.
Running, but he's 88 speed.
Yeah, he's like an aging Kobe Bryant. You got to stop relying on your athletic ability and go back to the basics and find ways to be at Michael Crabtree. He was kind of the same way. He wasn't like a blazer down the sideline, but he was crafty. I mean, he was looking people off. He was head juking people. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Absolutely. I got one for you. How about freaking Fred Bolendikoff? Shout out Freddie B. What's up?
Hey.
I mean, you talk about one of the all-time greatest route runners in the history of football, and he was not fast.
No.
He was not fast. He had all the stickum and could run routes. Like, that's what Freddie B did so amazingly well. And, and that's what kind of Renfro's putting down. Again, to mention Timmy Brown, of course, Timmy was fast and could run routes, and that's why he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But as he got older in his career, and when we saw those later, versions of Timmy Brown lined up with Jerry Rice and all that, that's what they did.
Yeah.
They just freaking out-routed you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To generate getting open. And it's incredible what Hunter's doing at this young stage of his career.
Absolutely. Raider Nation, I appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to wrap this show up here in just a second.
Gosh, are we done already?
We're getting there, man. We're getting there. Any last questions that you'd like to drop in? Oh, okay.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, there we go.
We're getting is this Winston?
So we're going to wrap this up, guys.
Oh, okay.
Why don't you shout out to everybody here that showed up. The crowd's been slowly getting bigger as we've been going on live. We really appreciate that.
This is the best. Let's go. Love it, man. Love it.
Guys.
You can't beat Raider fans, man. Raider fans are the best.
2 TDs from Renfro tomorrow. Going to call it Swag Jeff.
Nice. Good call.
Good stuff,
Take it,
guys.
Swaggo.
Again, everybody that's in the chat that listened live, that didn't get to enjoy the experience with us in Vegas, glad you got a little glimpse of it, and I hope you can join us in the future again. SAHARA Las Vegas, here every home game weekend. Use promo code LVCody for 20% off your rooms, $50 in resort credit, lots of other perks that go to that. And, of course, you get to hang out here, watch a show, hang out with a bunch of Raider fans. You can watch the game here if you need to, post-game shows, whatever's going on. SAHARA Las Vegas will hopefully satisfy those needs, especially as a member of Raider Nation. Murf, appreciate you joining me as my special guest co-host.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah.
This has been fun, dude.
And it's not going to be the only time you're on the show this weekend, but you were on it for the long haul tonight.
I'm here for the
and I'll see you again tomorrow night.
Yes, I'll be back tomorrow night. And thank you so very, very much for having me, man. This is freaking awesome. This is set up that you have incredible things going on with the Raider Cody podcast. If you're not supporting this man, Raider Nation, and what he's doing, you're doing it wrong. Take care of Raider Cody, man. He's killing it.
Appreciate you guys. Well, until next time, YouTube listeners, we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Peace.